Alrighty, so we're back. We got Mythic Lady Ashvane. So I'm going to first off starting talking about the three-phase strategy where you end up getting three burn phases. I'm using my progression POV of this fight because I want to be able to talk about it because we have, as a guild, changed to a two-phase strategy. So it's a little bit different in terms of like what you're doing. So the first major thing you actually want to talk about is cooldown timings. And this goes by guild basis. So for a three phase strategy, you can either use them on pull, on 3 minutes, and then on 6 minutes with bloodlust. So you're going to be bloodlusting 6 minutes with the three burn strategy. Alternatively, you can get them whenever the hardened carapace is down every single time by using it at approximately 1 minute. Basically, it's whenever his first shield breaks, which will approximately happen at 1 minute. And then again at 4 minutes, and then again at 7 minutes. So this will allow you to have the most boss damage as possible. That is what I'm doing here. And I'm also using Condensed Life Force, the essence from Raid, the Rock Boy, as well. Just because it does line up so well with it. You should always be using... So speaking of essences, you should always be using Condensed Life Force Major for this fight. For the minors, you can pick two between... If you have 65, you can pick two between Conflict and Strife Rank 3, Essence of the Focusing Iris, and Crucible of Flame. So you can pick two of those. And then for Azerite, of course, Streaking Stars, one Arcanic Pulsar, pretty much mandatory. And then the other, like whatever else you have is just kind of up for debate. Just kind of sim it, whatever else. So talents are a little bit interesting to talk about here. So for the tier 15, you have Nature's Balance, Wild Charge. You can take Renewal on this fight. However, I think in general, Wild Charge is just better. Movement wise, Resto Affinity seems to generally be better. However, if you have Switch Hitter and you need the avoidance, Guardian Affinity is very good because Switch Hitter will cap you on avoidance, which is really strong on this fight. So you can actually play either one depending. Then you have whatever for the tier 4 row. Typhoon is what I normally pick just because like there's it doesn't matter. Star-Lord is pretty much always better than Incarnation on this fight just because of how the fight is designed. And then Stellar Flare, if there's no reason that you'd ever play Twin Moons here. And then Shooting Stars. So just some general tips that I have for this fight is that you should be looking to Bark Skim whenever you're getting like the Waterlog debuff, or you're actually soaking just a bunch of the pools around with like your tank. In addition to that, you should be looking to stack up in melee for Power Word Barrier or any other cooldown whenever you're breaking the shield, because you're going to end up having a lot of those waterlogged circles coming from the coral hitting the boss. So those, and pre-positioning inside of melee allows you to get the most amount of healing. There will probably be some DR dropped on the group as well. So that's always a nice thing as well to think of. In addition to that, you can actually use your health stone and healing potion whenever you're stuck inside of a briny bubble, so saving it for that is always very important as well. Setting up times where your whole entire group should be looking to use their health stone or healing potion is also nice, just due to the fact that it is basically just like a free healer cooldown, and they do a lot of healing this tier. In addition to that, helping pre-position soak the pools from the cutters. So basically you have to aggressively do double cuts occasionally, so standing near the coral that will be doubled up is always pretty nice. In addition to that, sunfiring the briny bubbles like you can actually see on screen is another tip that I would have. Basically the reasoning behind that is you don't really want to moonfire them and you don't really want to single target damage them. However, sunfire cleaving off of them is nice because it will also refresh on the boss. It's an easy way for you to get damage on them. So you're going to end up seeing my cooldown here coming up in just a couple of seconds. And this is exactly what I was talking about with the three-phase strategy. This is my third cooldown of the fight, and it's coming up really late into the burn. However, I'm still going to get one full use of that cooldown. So that's why it does seem more advantageous. But at the end of the day, it's more set up and it's more reliance on what your guild as a whole has decided. It's less on you individually, more on your group as a whole. Okay. And so with that said, let's actually jump into the two-phase Ashvane strategy. So there's not a ton of difference between this and the three-phase strategy, except you need like higher group-wide DPS. basically you need the boss you need like the boss sub 60% with the first burn without using Bloodlust, and then that's like your bare minimum. Then you have to have everybody alive. For us, we have a little bit better DPS. We had the boss at like something around like 54%, so we could actually do it with a bunch of people dead. Plus, our group DPS is pretty high because we all have like 65 traits and whatnot, except for me. I'm like 64. Okay, so don't talk shit. But anyways, basically, point still stands is that you use your cooldowns during both burn phases. So as soon as the first shield gets broken, you instantly use your condensed life force and your celestial alignment there, just in order to be able to get the most amount of boss DPS, because boss DPS is the most important thing with this strategy. And then alternatively, you get your second one up about 20 seconds into the second burn, so you end up getting a full use out of that as well. And then from there, it's pretty straightforward as to how the fight ends up working out. You just end up DPSing into the hardened Carapace. So it's going to end up being a little bit different depending on the two groups. But Balanced Druid, the differentiation on this fight is how you use your cooldowns, and that's more of like a group-wide thing. Personally, I think you should be looking to use it whenever the shield is off of the boss, and you should be using it for boss DPS. But it ends up depending on what your group ends up needing at the end of the day. So, condensed life force all the time, always very good. Always be looking to take Star-Lord as well. Pre-position for Azerite cutters. You should be good to go beyond that. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. I haven't been in on Orgazoa. It's a pretty shit Moonkin fight, so I don't know when the next one of these will be. Probably soon, since we've recently killed Queen Azshara. So if you like the content, check it out. I also got links down in the description below. I'll see you later, guys.